Well, here we go, guys. Part 3 of what could possibly go wrong with buying an Ironhead online that doesn't run. This is the oil pump. This is the bung, or a bung, that should be right here so that we could have, whoever could have hooked the oil line from the oil tank to the oil pump inlet. So the oil pump was never hooked up, and that's why this engine wasn't running so well. He didn't run it long. Luckily, it had plenty of moly lube in it, so he didn't hurt the motor at all. You know, these are needle bearing motors, and he wasn't driving it, so the trans was never spinning, so he didn't do any damage to it. But we know a little of the history of this motor now from taking it apart, so let's kind of look at that. For some reason, somebody filled this hole right here. There should be a hole just like that one on that other Ironhead case to drain the sump. So this is where the crank spins, and sometimes if the bikes sit for a while, the oil pumps tend to bleed oil back into the sump, and then the motor gets full of a lot of oil, and the scavenge port here has a hard time sucking the oil up and getting it out. So we drain the sump. We can't do that anymore with this motor unless I machine it and put a hole in and all that, and I don't know if I'm doing that yet. We had an explosion. This is where the countershaft goes. All this heliarc in here, all this material added in, not supposed to be there. This is the repair when it broke and dropped that way. That's the oil drain plug, and somebody decided to fill that with oil, or with heliarc material too. So got a little heliarc fill right there on the top of this bolt hole. The generator was repaired right here. Generator flange mounting. You can see where a weld was done right in here. It's kind of a porous weld, maybe because there's a lot of oil. It's holding. It's obviously been together like that for a while. Let me flip over this case. So when you look in the generator case, there's the back side of that crack, right? It's a pretty good one too. I actually think this came from somebody trying to hit it right here with a hammer, because that's usually how a crack right here happens. If they leave these bolt holes loose, then the whole thing just kind of breaks off. So I think that was from somebody trying to disassemble it. And then, you know, they just kind of welded here. It's holding. It's been there for a long time. We're going to leave it alone. You can see they had to, you know, put a nut cert in here. They stripped one of those out. Other than that, this surface looks pretty clean. We stoned the entire surface, or all the mating surfaces. There's the top of that little weld. Here's the external. You can see where the countershaft went, where they got the weld a little hot and started to blister the case. There's that weld. And where they filled the drain hole, right? It's actually not a bad repair, but this one right here really bothers me. Removing the drain plug. This is an old school mod. They used to fill this hole, which was the Speedo Boss, because this area, this big hole right here, would make the bottom of the case weak, and they would break, just like this. So they did away with that on the later, you know, on the later cases. See, it no longer has that boss down there. There's the drain plug, and there's the other drain, and there's the other drain. All that's missing on this motor, which is really a pain. So other than that, you know, we used the bottoming tap. Where's the bottoming tap? Bottoming tap right here. Went through all the 5/16 and quarter holes. Nice clean threads that way. So make sure you get the right size tap. Clean it with a brush, you know, after you go down through the hole. Each hole. Blow it out. You know, use a little tapping oil. So we went through all of those. We also used a chuck with a 1/4 inch drill bit, right? Nice, clean, brand new drill bit. Went down into the dowel pin holes and just used the flutes like this to clean out the hole. We didn't change the size. We just went in to clean out the hole, right? You can see it gets all the gasket material that gets forced in there cleaned out. Same thing with this. You know, a lot of people put a lot of Loctite in on Harley fasteners, and it ends up becoming like this, right? You see all that? There's way too much Loctite right there. And what that does is it makes the thread actually a different size, and it screws up the actual holes, right? This is a trapdoor bolt. But yeah, on the back side of the trapdoor, one of these is pretty bad because they went through it, you know, put these in after And that's just not good, guys. You got to clean up the threads and everything. Anyways, that's where we are with it. Moving on to the next step. So don't forget to subscribe. I'd like to get to 1,000 subscribers. That'd be just fun, little personal goal. And hit the like button. You know, if you like what I'm putting up, go ahead and hit the button.